younger sister, Mrs. Wambui Collymore, and the entire family, the provost and the entire clergy. It is a singular honor and privilege to have been asked to pay tribute on behalf of Bob's friends. Bob had many friends in all sectors and across all spheres. The outpouring of grief following his demise has been overwhelming. Young and old, male and female, from all walks of life. Bob has been mourned with a heart-wrenching sincerity. Without a doubt, he touched many, many lives. Bob was a gentleman, humble to core, an honest and loyal friend. He was down to earth. Often he would look us up or get us to look for each other. Bob would ask, "Have you spoken to PQ lately?" I would call Patrick, only to learn that he was struggling with a sick relative abroad. It was Bob's way of reminding us to be there for each other. As we prepared to usher in 2019, he knew I was struggling with somebody very close in ICU. He had himself just suffered a relapse. I was in no mood to celebrate, but he encouraged me to get out, and we joined Churchill at his New Year show at Garden City. It turned out to be a wonderful evening and a great start to the new year. You may have in the recent past read or heard about the Boys Club. These were no boys, but some old men. In fact, the youngest was Jeff Koinange. So you can imagine how old the others were. But there were about 10 or so who Bob brought together and hosted every Tuesday whenever possible. Many are with us this morning, some have traveled from far and wide. Only on very rare occasions and following extreme persuasion did Bob allow a few members to host the Boys Club outside his home. Our get-togethers were full of laughter, and during one such get-together, the name Kihara was given to him. When we next visited his house, Wambui had put a name up on the signpost showing their way to their home. He drew us into many projects which he was supporting, like the Josephine Kulea initiative to protect young girls in Samburu, and the Ice Bucket Challenge. He dutifully invited us to the annual Safaricom Jazz Festival. Bob had many other personal interests. He was a helicopter pilot. He encouraged me to learn how to fly one, and discreetly followed up with the training captain on my progress. At one Boys Club get-together, he teased me about my first solo flight on my own. We flew together a couple of times. He was a serious pilot and would warn me not to crack any jokes, otherwise would end up going down. Bob loved music. He liked playing instruments and was a keen supporter of local musicians. He challenged me to take up the sax, and we planned a collabo at a surprise during one of the jazz festivals. I learned how to play the sax, but unfortunately the collabo was not to be. Maybe when we meet again, we'll do it. He was a hilarious man. When any of the boys met him in London, he insisted on introducing them to his tailor, a certain Ghanaian called Boateng. I vividly remember one occasion when he was fitting a new suit, and he asked his tailor to sell the rest of our suits. The price was beyond our budgets. So we politely told the tailor that we would return at a later time. Bob did not comment. On our way to dinner that evening, we stopped at a car showroom where I showed him what I thought was a nice car. That is when he vented his frustration at our not buying suits from his favorite tailor, quipping that the car was worth an awful lot of suits. The next morning in his humor, he M-Pesa'd me 1,000 shillings as a startup fund for buying the car. On another occasion, at some European capital, we got together for drinks with a bunch of friends. At the entrance where we were gathering, we were asked for what was by any standard an excessive cover charge. He made us live in a half, saying that he was not going to pay a cover charge 4 times the cost of drinks that we were going to take. From October 2017, when he was diagnosed with AML, we made it our duty to visit him wherever he was. Whether it was at Nairobi Hospital, Guy's Hospital, near Russell Square, or Euston in London. When he eventually came home, the Boys Club took up the responsibility, together with Wamboi's friends, and a group that Wamboi formed, known as Healers Group, to donate platelets that is so much needed. Jeff Koinange became Mr. Platelets because of his high count, until the baton of donating the platelets was passed to our children, and Jeff lost the title. Bob was brave to the end. It was not his wish for us to grieve. Tuesday last week, Bob invited us for a regular Boys Club meeting. He was relaxed and was joyful. And so we were taken aback when he broke the sad news that he had only a couple of weeks at best to live. He walked us through his journey and assured us that he was at peace. He eventually went into his whiskey store and opened a very special reserve blended whiskey that he had saved many years for a special guest. He insisted we become the special guest. And he insisted that we all share the whiskey, even for those who don't drink whiskey. Then he saw us. He saw every one of us off individually. Little did we know it would be the last Boys Club meeting with him. We did not want to leave the next visit for Tuesday this week. And so we insisted and agreed to meet him on Friday for tea last week. He later canceled Friday because he was tired. On Saturday morning, we all woke up to a pleasant surprise. He had asked us for tea at 3 p.m. He was jovial, albeit in some pain. He told us what he wanted for his final journey and requested us, through one of the boys, Bharat, to oversee the cremation. Many of the members of the Boys Club traveled out of the country after the Saturday meeting. We still believed we had some time with him. On Monday, we all woke up at various destinations to the shocking news of his demise. We remain grateful to Patrick Kwaku, who responded to Wamboi's call at 3 in the morning and quickly got the message to the rest of us. I had just gotten to the DRC on Sunday night and woke up to find Wamboi's attempted call to me. Joshua Igara was in New York. Lamin had just gone back to Nigeria. We all turned back immediately to fulfill his wishes. We owed this much to a man we recognized as our captain. On Saturday, while we were there, and I think it's only fair that I say this, while he was taking us through, he also took us through 2 of his visitors last week. To Michael Joseph, Bob was overwhelmed by your emotions when you visited him on Wednesday. He reminded us of a similar scene in London a year ago when the 2 of you had gone out for dinner and you came back and you couldn't leave each other's hands. And I saw the difficulties you were. He had similar difficulties on his emotions about you. To His Excellency the President, it was very clear you visited him on Monday just to see how he was doing, but he felt you gave him an opportunity to explain what he was going through, and how many days he had. He remained very grateful. To Wambui and family, thank you for being there for Bob in good times and for taking care of him with such devotion throughout his sickness. Many times we saw you in London at home and we knew what you were going through. We reminded him on Saturday what you've always told us. You were not there, but whatever you've always told us, that if you were to do it again, it would be him. He smiled and the pain went away. Thank you for welcoming us into your home and lives, Wambui. We will always be there for you. In conclusion, Bob died at the age of 61. He touched many lives. He had only been in Kenya for about 10 years. What a great example and lesson for all of us here today who have lived in Kenya over 10 years. Fare thee well, our captain. We remain ever so grateful to God for the gift of your life.